Hello, hello, hello. Seeing some familiar faces as we get started on this Wednesday rainy evening over here, at least in New York. Right, Kodi?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
unfortunately. But,
yeah,
after the
yeah.
rain comes the sunshine.
Well, let's get started on that. No, what is going on? You are watching and, of course, listening to Tags Live, aka Talk About Gay Sex, the live edition, where we are here every Wednesday night on the Crowdcast platform. I am your host, Stevie V. This is episode 646. Alongside, back in business with me, Kodi Maurice Doggette. How the hell you doing, Kodi?
Hello, darling. I'm doing wonderful.
Thank you. It's so good to be back.
So
You
good to have you back. I'm so happy
Thank
that you're here.
Thank you.
You
Yeah, I know. I'm
know.
glad to be back. I was on, for those of you that didn't listen to episode 645, which I highly encourage you to, because we were all in studio. And by all, I mean Kodi and Lincoln. And we had such a great time recording the other day, didn't we? Back in
Oh,
business.
yeah,
Yeah, it's always good being in the studio. And
definitely.
I shared a little bit about more of topics that we talked about on that show, but I didn't really share a whole lot about working on the cruise, but some of the highlights. And I just wanted to share a little bit with you on my recent VACAYA Caribbean cruise, which I was working, but some of the highlights were seeing Cheyenne Jackson, who
Ooh,
was so good. He had his cabaret show, and like a good cabaret show, he told really personal stories. I think he started off with, do you like my hair? I'm having a good hair day, and proceeded to share with us that he's had 5 transplants, surgeries on his head. That's how real he
what?
was. Yeah, and that he is very open about it, and how hair is very, he had a brother growing up. They grew up in a super conservative town, and that the brother was bald and he didn't want to be bald, and it was fine for the brother because he was going into something that it didn't matter. But Cheyenne was going to be an actor singer, and
Yeah,
that wasn't going to work. And he admits he's extremely vain as he's approaching 50 as well. And I just thought he had such an incredible honesty and sensitivity about his story, his personal story, that always is really the sign of a really good cabaret show, when you can really connect with your audience and open up on a deeper level about who you really are and what makes you tick, and how
I agree.
we're all in this together type of thing, backing it up with some amazing full voice songs, very Broadway. He's done a lot of Broadway and storytelling that goes along with that. So he was just a highlight that I wanted to definitely shout out. Bianca Del Rio, of course, that we all love, season
I
6
love that
winner.
bitch.
Got to take a picture with her. She was lovely and hilarious as always. And she just delivers and delivers. And how much do you love Bianca?
Oh, I adore her so much. She's so hilarious and she's just real. And she
Yeah,
gets down to the nitty gritty. So, yeah. Hi, Bianca.
exactly. Yes. Dancing on the cruise. I think I got on the stage. A lot of the parties were supposed to be on the outdoor area by the pool at night when we were at
Mhm.
sea, but due to winds and crazy rain, we had to pull them inside to this room called the Centrum, that was not the biggest round room, but it went all the way up. Like, if you looked up, it was like mezzanine and then mezzanine, and people could go up to those levels and look down. And they got great DJs like DJ Justin Dawson, who's a friend. Love him so much. DJ Whitney Day, also really
Oh,
good, and some really great DJs. And so we often were in costume, depending on what the theme was, in Barely There Nothing, which was, of course, anything to get out of that uniform that we had to wear was
right.
great. And it was, at one point I was wearing a leather loincloth that I was flashing
Okay.
in honor of New Orleans. And that's where we left out of. And people were throwing beads, I must say. And that was a lot of fun.
Oh,
Yeah,
you got some
and
beads?
yeah, I got some beads, yeah, and it was just so much fun. Even though I was under the weather probably 90% of the trip, I'm still getting over this cold, but I still had a good time with it. I met a new friend, which is great, and it's always great to meet somebody. Shout out to Evan in
Hi,
Austin.
Evan.
And one person, all you 80s junkies from MTV, if you remember Downtown Julie Brown, who
Oh,
is one of the
love her.
top VJs, love her, British. I saw her at one point on the deck, and she was so nice, and we were like chit-chatting and talking, and she was filming something, and I'm like, what are you filming? And she's like, come over here, sweetie. And she pulled me over, and she's doing a live stream, and what I realize is our captain got on the loudspeaker and said that we're going to turn the boat around for a hot second because there's a boat out, a sailboat that looks like it's in distress. And some
Oh,
of you
wow.
watching or listening to this may have heard of this story because it's been reported on that there was a huge cruise ship, LGBTQ, okay, the one I was on, that went out and rescued a sailboat of about 12 passengers that was filling up with water at sea, and they were in danger, girl.
Wow.
And
Like
turns
Molly.
out they were refugees, and they were coming somewhere from, I believe, Cuba. And we sent out sailboats out to them and brought them back to our ship and fed them, got them fresh clothes. And when asked, did they want to go to America? The answer was a hard no, Kodi. A hard
I heard about
no.
this.
Yeah, absolutely. They did not. I don't blame them too. I
That's
think,
wild.
yeah,
Wild.
after giving them fresh food and water and clothing, I believe the next stop was Cozumel, Mexico, and I'm sure we
Okay.
dropped them off there safe and sound. But they were, I mean, you know, when you're at sea like that, it's crazy because waters, I mean, we're on this like monstrosity of a cruise ship
Yeah.
that is, no land in sight. And here's this tiny sailboat that's filled up with water. They were at sea for 2 days without any food or water. And
Provisions? Oh
yeah,
my
yeah,
goodness.
it
I can't
was,
even imagine. I cannot
yeah.
imagine.
Yes, we are live, and James watching us says, I was wondering if that was your ship. It was. And the whole time, which made it kind of more intriguing and fun, was having British Downtown Julie Brown live streaming it. I'm in some of her live streams too. She's like, sweetie, darling, come over here. You've got to come into this and say something. And I was like, it's so funny.
I love her. And you know
She,
what? When you first mentioned her, I thought
yeah,
it was because there's two Julie Browns. There's the redhead Julie
right.
Brown, and then there's downtown Julie Brown, who is
Don't get it twisted.
from the
Downtown Julie.
UK.
Yeah.
I'm very excited now. I love downtown Julie Brown.
Loved her. She was so fun. She ended up doing they created sort of a VTV kind of MTV pool party with cameras, and she was on microphone in full sequence on the pool deck. And it was a lot of fun. It was a throwback to MTV,
VJ
back
days.
VJ days, and a lot of fun. So shout out to her. Speaking of downtown Julie Brown, there a couple of the guests that I were talking to at dinner service one night were telling me how they go on these cruises outside of LGBT cruises,
Okay.
and they're themed cruises. And they go
Oh,
70s one with all 70s music, but not just like DJ music, they get bands. But they also go on 80s ones too, where I guess there's apparently these ships sell out, and these guys that I were talking to love doing these things. I don't know if it would be
oh.
for me, but it does make sense because when I used to work in radio, I remember there was a smooth jazz cruise that everybody would go on and would get. Oh my gosh, I don't even want to go in the likes of who it would like lure
I want to
artist
know.
wise, but well, I would have to throw out all these smooth jazz artists named Dave Cause. It was like the Dave
Oh, I
Cause
used to love
smooth
Dave
jazz
Cos.
cruise. Yeah, right. He's gay, by the way. And
Is he
oh
really?
yeah,
He's a saxophonist he did a
yeah.
duet with Montel Jordan.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, right. He's lovely. And it would be that kind of thing. And then I think I've heard of other themed cruises. I watched TCM, the Classic Movie Channel, and they do their version of a cruise where you watch all old movies and the hosts of TCM come. So why wouldn't there be? Well, there was a recent one that I believe Downtown Julie Brown was going to be on. She was like, she just jumped from cruise to cruise, and she was going to make an 80s one. And this one was going to feature artists like Christopher Cross. Remember him?
No. Who's Christopher Cross?
Chris, say away, take me away. I'm not going to sing this song. You don't know that
That was
famous
lovely.
Christopher?
I don't know that song.
Oh my
No.
God, it's a famous
You have to
song.
send it to me now. I did see
Okay.
his name in the story, and I was like, okay, Christopher Cross, cool.
Yeah. Oh my God, famous. Other artists included Tiffany. Do you
I
know
love her.
Tiffany? Mall
I
Rat
think we're alone
Tiffany.
now. I
Yeah,
love it.
not my favorite at all. Men at Work. Remember them?
I remember the name. If you name a song, I would probably know it.
Didn't they do Who Can It Be
Oh,
Now?
I love that song.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Let me look right now.
Well, I'm a product of the 80s. I mean, this is all my stuff. So, you're more 90s, correct?
I am more 90s, yeah.
Yeah. And one
Who
group
can it
called,
be? Yep, they did it. They did Who
yeah,
Can It Be
thank
Now?
you. And one group that went by the name that I didn't know called Faster Pussycat that was on. Well, sadly, the one of the front persons of Faster Pussycat's fiance, Kimberly Birch, she was in an argument with one of the front people of Faster Pussycat, who's Tammy Down, and they were on their eighth floor balcony outside, and she either jumped or fell off of the balcony, which
Or
they
or
stopped the
she
show.
was pushed.
Well, exactly. And the thing is, the ship stopped to look. But again, back to these ships are going at a million miles an hour at sea. And I often would just go sit out in the morning before a morning meeting, and I would just sit out there and we're cooking along. And there's nothing in sight at times. And you just know you do not. But by the way, Kodi, the railings are like at everyone's like, you know, at your waist level or higher than your waist level. It's
Yeah.
not like you could just trip. Somebody I watched in a news story said, "Oh, maybe she had some of those platform heels on." And it's not like it's like a foot off the ground and you have. Believe me, our cruise had tons of platform heels on, and nobody fell off of the thing at all. I think she was apparently imbibing, but we all are too. I wonder
Yeah.
what you're saying about jumping too.
I mean, from my perspective, this is the episode of Murder She Wrote,
Yeah.
and Angela Lansbury is about to pop out and sing with the
Okay.
band and try and figure out if she was this is foul play or not, because this reeks of foul play. I don't understand what's going on here. I would like to investigate a little bit more because of the argument. That's mighty suspicious,
Yeah,
don't you
right.
think? And then they were all alone in this room, and all of a sudden she's overboard without a paddle or a life jacket or anything.
It's
So
sad too because,
it
you
is
know,
sad.
once the family of course wants to investigate and find the body, but at that point it's how do
How?
you even I know, it's just it's sad any way you look at it, but that cruise went on and continued with the 80s music, but my God, can you imagine if you were on that boat? It would just be like
I cannot.
very
I mean,
depressing.
it
Ain't no
that would
80s
be
music
that would
gonna
be.
Tiffany better like go back to the archives to find something to I mean,
What else did
yeah.
she sing though?
I
She's
don't
got
know and
one
I don't really
song.
care to be honest. So that's where we're at with that.
I
Let's
think
move
we're
on while
alone
you look that
now.
up. To Armie Hammer, who just keeps coming up in the news. If you remember, he really wasn't getting any work because of allegations of what were some of his allegations for
Cannibalism.
cannibalism, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was found to not go anywhere. He has admitted in the past that he's not making any money since his famous movie Call Me by Your Name, which you can't help but put that against his co-star Timothy Chalamet, who is on. He just got like a nomination for Best Academy Award for his role recently, and he's killing it. Armie
Yeah,
Hammer, on
he
the
is,
other
and he's
hand, and he's
one of the better
dating. Yes,
actors
exactly.
on.
And it's just, I can't help but think, what's going on with Armie Hammer? Well, he has a podcast out right now, and he just revealed that he tried to have a gay hookup on Grindr, but couldn't get an erection. And that already is like, now I know it came up because he was actually on somebody else's podcast, and she
Okay.
was sharing being with another woman and what that went like. And that prompted him to then share this story. I think it was bad timing though for him, because all that the internet and media, or at least the entertainment media, are talking about is that he couldn't get it up because he tried it with the guy. He said, I tried hooking up with the dude one time and it was hilarious because I was like, you know what? Women are the worst. Like, gay dudes seem to have it so easy. He detailed the ease of which queer men can find hookups using apps like Grindr. And he said, I was like, you know what? I'm going to give this a try. Like, maybe this actually works for me. Let's give it a try. He said, I remember I met this dude, handsome French, you know, the whole thing. I was like, okay, this could work. This could work. Let's try this. I remember I started making out with him, and I just remember being like, God, beards, like this thing is fucking rough. How do I get in there? And I remember I put my arms around him, and he was like, oh my God, these shoulders are so wide. He's so big. I was just like, okay. And then I remember we were making out, and it was kind of getting hotter and heavier, but I was like, not even a twitch. And I was going through the motions, and I was not feeling anything, and basically had a flaccid penis. What do you think about Armie Hammer and this shift into, we're learning way too much about him?
Yeah.
And in the
Yeah.
end, do we need to know this story? And how do you feel about it?
He is clearly attention starved, and all the things that he mentioned are the things that I love about men. I love beards and I love big shoulders. So I think he is definitely straight, and thankfully, because now he won't be eating us. Maybe we're not the reason he didn't like us was because we, we were too hard and too tough to digest. So
Yeah.
he they can keep him, and Army Hammer, have several seats. Just go be rich or whatever you do. You don't need a podcast. We don't need to know any more about you. Thank you very much.
I agree 100%. So much so that I want to move on. All right, let's talk about something a little bit more about harsh truths. What am I talking about? Well, recently, gay men were sharing the harsh truths they learned from dating. And it was a post by somebody on a subreddit that prompted many replies. And the poster put in there, in his early 30s, he asked other guys to share their harsh truths about dating. He went first, saying he'd learned three things, Kodi. First, that time waits for nobody, and you should not postpone dating until you've cultivated the perfect body or personality. I kind of like that. Do you?
I love that one.
Yeah, I mean, there's always, hopefully we're always working on ourselves, and with that in mind, we're never going to be at 100%. And you also
That's
want
right.
somebody that's working on themselves too. And so, if you're like perfect, which I can't imagine anybody is,
I
then
mean,
that's
me.
a good
I
one.
mean, that's it,
Okay.
right?
He goes on to say, secondly, looks do matter to a degree, and that as you get older, it's harder to lose weight. What do you think about that one? I
I
mean,
feel red. I feel like he was looking in
you
my
feel
window
attacked.
talking. I feel very attacked in here. So he needs to shut his foul mouth over there. Thank you very
I
much.
mean, looks, I guess, do matter in a certain way, and I think everybody should try and take care of yourself no matter where you're at. I
Mm,
always say start early though. Take care of yourself, if nothing else, for yourself. I did at an early age with my skin. Skin is so important to me. I just have always taken care of it, and I just think everybody should too. And you want to just protect your skin. But losing, it's hard as we get older, as he says, to lose weight. He's right on that. I mean, I look at older pictures of when I was lean and mean, and I didn't really have to think about it. I mean, I worked out all the time, but it wasn't like I have to think about it a lot more now.
oh, me too.
I mean, I lost 10 pounds just by being sick, and I'm like, ooh, okay, great. One of the benefits
Yeah.
of being sick, but I don't know. What do you think about what that he said there?
Yeah, I definitely agree with it. Losing weight is very hard, especially for
Yeah.
me as I progress into my late 30s, early 40s. We'll see what the people believe tonight. Okay. Yeah, so I definitely have to watch what I eat. I definitely have to work out a little bit more and a little bit harder because I want to maintain, and I definitely am just like Cheyenne Jackson, and I'm a vain person.
Yeah, and you just want to take care of yourself and you want to, you know, that like anything, like a car, you can't run it to the ground, not put oil in it,
Yep.
not wash it ever, and expect that 5 years from now it's going to look good. So why wouldn't you invest the same, if not more, in your body as the vessel that you are to last throughout the years? That's what I got to say on that. Thirdly, he goes on to say, you may never find the one and die alone. And that last bit might seem a little bit grim, but is
Damn.
it
Let me
too
have a sip of
harsh?
my drink. That's
Well,
very harsh.
it could be. And I do think it's a lesson in, I mean, before I met my partner, I was really always happy, I was single for 10 years and was fine. I mean, I have cultivated such a nice grouping of people that I travel with, that I see around the world, that are nourish my soul. I had great sex, and if there wasn't a partner in sight, it wasn't going to be the worst thing in the world.
Yeah.
But now that I have one, it's amazing. And I found him against maybe his rules in my early 50s, so it can
Yeah,
happen. But you
definitely.
know, not
You have to keep
without
looking.
trying, yeah.
Exactly, and I think that's one of the hardest rules. You have to continue to put yourself out there, and that is very tough. It's not for everybody. Personally, I think I already found the one that was for me, and we can't seem to get it together. So I might be single the rest of my life. So well, you never know, though.
You never know, and you really wanna meet somebody and you try really hard, so I don't think that's gonna be your case. I
Oh,
just in
thank you,
my
boo.
crystal ball that I have in front of
I'm gonna come
me.
live with y'all. You better just be prepared. Make the bed up, bitch.
Okay. But some of the things that people responded to said, quote, actions speak louder than words came out as probably the top answer. In other words, if a man likes you, he'll make time for you one way or another. That I agree with. Somebody else said, if he's into you, you'll know it. If he's not, you'll be confused. Let me check my schedule, or maybe, or let me get back to you, or basically, no, but nicely put. I agree with that. We
Yeah,
look
me
out
too.
for those signs. Many others agreed, but some added clarifications on let me get back to you. Quote, if they really are busy, they're set a specific time to follow up. I'm busy. How about next week? Sometimes generally means not interested, but I'm really busy this week. About next how about next Tuesday night means they're interested. And that's actually true too, because I've had weeks where I couldn't fit something in, like I was there just isn't, but
Yeah.
I want to hang out with somebody, and I'll move into like 2 weeks from now to schedule something. I mean, we have a mutual friend that sometimes we see that travels all the time. He's in fashion, and it's not unheard of to put a date in the books for 3 weeks from now
Yeah,
to
I
see
hear
him. And
you.
it's just, it is what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a notoriously difficult schedule, and I've had this schedule for
Yeah.
such a very long time. So it's often hard for me to make dates willy-nilly and out of the blue. So I have to make them in advance, and I have to make sure that people are aligned and things that are between us that they're clear. And yeah, so it happens all the time. So just be
Yeah.
patient. You never know.
Absolutely. Okay, let's move on to Grinder. As the stock, Grinder's stock keeps on growing while other dating apps, well, they're going flaccid, much like our boy that we were talking about a little bit earlier. I love it. As US markets fall in anticipation of global trade
Not our
battles,
boy. He's not our
sparked,
boy.
he's not, well, the one we were talking about, by our perpetual president's tariffs, there's one stock that continues to stand tall, and it's Grinder. Their values keeps increasing in size. Let me read you a few stats we'll discuss. This is the company's annual revenue now stands at 319 million, up 108 million from 2019 and 259 million in 2023. All of these indicators mean Grindr's stock is guaranteed to please. The stock has 126.82% return over the last year and is trading near its 52nd week high of $19.20. Do we need to be
It's at
buying
18 point.
Grindr?
It's at 18.9 now.
Oh, did you just check? Oh, wow.
I
Okay.
just Googled it. Yeah.
Got it. Yeah, I took some notes here, and the whole thing about like why is it doing so well. Two things that are maybe making it a valuable stock to invest in are it's a niche, and it's a gay audience niche, and some others might say, well, there's scruff and there's sniffies and there's on and on and on, but they really were at the forefront, and Grindr really is. I'm not sure if those other platforms have gone public like Grindr has. Do you know that?
Sniffies is private. I actually Googled it
Yeah,
just
they're
now.
not public like Grindr is, and
Yeah.
so it's a publicly traded company now. It's a household name. Straight people know about it. It's that kind of niche. And the number two reason that it's probably a valuable stock is it has growth plus potential. It showed there's a lot of areas in there that can grow. And when I was looking a little bit deeper at some of the straight platforms like Bumble and Hinge and Match, and that are actually plummeting right now, not doing so well, Kodi. One
Hmm.
of the things that most of them are, way more women are on these platforms,
Yeah.
but men too. But the thing is, Grindr is the one that people pay for premium service. And on those other platforms I mentioned, people use the free accounts. Like my sister, for example, she'll join the free Bumble account here and there, but she's not paying for any of those premium services. And most aren't either, studies are showing. But Grindr, people are paying for the premium service. I mean, do you pay for a premium service on Grindr? Is there even a free service?
I plead the fifth. No, yes, I do. I pay for just like a small upgrade. Just nothing too big, nothing too generous out there. It
Yeah.
enhances my chances, honey.
But it's wild
um
that people do. I mean, that I think the gays have factored that into their monthly
It's
budgeting.
it's true, and I have. And I think another reason is because I think on those heterosexual ones that include women, I think that the women do not have to pay. Anybody can correct me if they feel free.
No, not all of them. Some of them want you to. My sister has told me that just not by being a woman, she doesn't get on there for free.
Oh,
There's
okay.
all these premium things that you can link into if you really want to.
Oh.
But
I
I
was thinking it
mean,
was like ladies' night, but I guess not.
it's not. Ladies' night does not permeate to the apps as well.
But another reason is heterosexual couples, they can meet anywhere basically. So I feel like there's not really a need for them to go on the apps and meet other people. I feel like for Grindr, you can go on there and you can see who's in your vicinity. If you're in the gym, basically, you can open it up and see, oh, that cute guy that was looking at me across the way, he is gay, and I'm gonna go talk to him now. Or maybe I'll hit him up on the app like, hey, sweetie, you're looking good in those shorts over there, which I've done before.
I mean, I, I I see why it's a valuable service when you're a gay person in a potentially gay environment like the gym, or a lot of people were using it on the cruise, which was a huge pooling of primarily it was
That's
LG.
interesting.
Well, maybe, but other people were using other things like Telegram too to
Oh,
meet places. And I'm not sure if you have to pay for that one too. People were
I don't think
using,
so.
they created like a cruise version that was supposed to be safer. I'm not sure how many people joined that one to meet people on the cruise, because you figure if there's 2,000 guys on a cruise, how are you finding these people and meeting up with them at any particular time? And so it's not my thing. It's not the way I like to meet people. You know, when I was single, I didn't really ever use them. But I'm not so sure about the argument of heterosexuals can meet people anywhere. With that theory, I feel like we can too. And I would argue we've got some great bars still in existence that we can go to. My sister tells me like going to some of the bars, it's like ugh, like the pooling of people that she would try and meet at any local bar hangout is just
They're
not
divas.
happening. Yeah, and I at least feel like we've got some queer spaces we can go to and still meet up with people. At least that's how I met my partner. And so I don't know.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I feel you. I agree with you that women can't really meet men in the bar, but
Yeah.
generally speaking, but they can meet them in church. They can meet them in the grocery
They
store. They can
could.
meet them
It's Ash
many.
Wednesday, people.
Did you get your ashes, girl?
I
As a
did not.
former
I am a
Catholic.
lay. My partner did, or I don't know. He did not.
Oh,
No,
come through,
actually, he did
partner.
not. But he is practicing something this Lent.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
and
my
I'm
mom
giving
was.
him all my support. But I'm not. But I'm
Are you
giving
not
him.
giving up anything for Lent? Oh,
No,
we
I'm
are
not.
some
I am no
reformed
longer.
Catholics, aren't
I'm
we?
no longer. I'm a spiritual person. I'm no longer practicing
Yeah,
Catholicism
I feel
anymore.
you. I'm
He
the same
does
way.
though, and I will support him though. So,
Cool.
and that's
I
okay.
love that.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh. Well, recently, gays were sounding off on some of their indulgences that they like to spend a hefty ticket on. First class tickets, maybe, top shelf liquor, $3,500 kitchenware, and more. They were sharing what they spend money on. And some of the findings show that gays are more likely to opt for first class tickets than any other group. And Queer Tea decided to ask the question, what are some of those things? Expensive clothes, latest and greatest iPhone, Beyonce tickets were some of the things. NYC TikTokers who went viral last year for ticking off his $1,403.98 monthly gay express didn't seem that crazy. Um, What's here? I'll read you a few. We'll discuss, Kodi.
Let's discuss,
Flying
darling.
first class to Palm Springs for a 2 week vacation. I used to have to fly a lot for work and had to fly coach everywhere I was sent, even Chicago to Melbourne. Enough of that, they wrote. This is John in Lombard in Illinois. Better hotel and restaurants while on vacation because it's a vacation, Alex in LA. I like that one. A little bit like my sister and I, she's done letting me kind of find the hotel because I'll go kind of cheap sometimes on the Airbnb. But I've recently, like, we've kind of found a happy medium place,
Hmm.
and it's cute. Like you can stay at some cute places, right? And I
Yeah,
will food though. That's one area that I will
me too.
always. I'm a food and wine lover, and that includes the space that I'm in. It has to be like a really nice, I love that. And that's what I spend money on, like once in a while, nice restaurants, and I would say tickets to theater and
Yeah, that's
concerts.
you. And when I read that,
Yeah.
I was like, this is Steve right here.
Yeah.
100%.
But I mean, I don't go crazy. Like, it's not the most. I'll find deals to like some of my concert people, and I'll find deals if there's so many shows I want to see in theater land, and I'm happy to sit in the back of the mezzanine, and as long as I'm seeing the show, which is still a great seat. So it's not like I have to be orchestra front row and all this kind of stuff. And how are you? What's your indulgence?
I agree with you. Food all the way. It's number one.
Yeah.
But like I run the gamut. Of course, I love food, so I think that I would go for something a little bit less expensive as long as I know it's fantastic.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. We went somewhere recently, the two of us, and we had a fabulous time at
We
that
did.
luncheon,
Yes, yeah.
and the food was very highfalutin, and I very much enjoyed myself because the food was amazing.
It was
So
so
yeah,
good. Yeah.
it
We
was
did
so
that on my
good.
birthday too, remember?
Yeah,
And we went to
I
another
do.
spot, and I don't know. To me, because a restaurant can be expensive, but I mean, as long as you're not ordering like letting somebody go crazy with the bottles of wine and stuff like that, and you're just doing like
which we did.
a glass here and there, I think you can kind of keep it okay. But
Yeah.
yeah.
But sometimes you just gotta splurge, Steve. But also travel. When the time comes, I definitely want to experience the world. And I haven't been anywhere since we went to Puerto Vallarta in October
Yes.
of last year. No, maybe it's
2
2023.
years
But
ago, yeah.
yeah, it was so very long ago. I am due a vacation. I need to go somewhere. I
Yeah.
have my eyes on a lot of places. So I will let you
Yeah.
know. Maybe you will
Thank
come with me.
you. I would love to be invited. Yes,
So
absolutely.
that's my two things, food and travel, that I will
Yeah.
always spend money on. And of course, concerts, because I want to go see Beyonce and Cowboy Carter.
Oh, I didn't realize. I
I
know.
do. But you know what? You always have to work your connection. So I might have a connection as far as that's concerned. So we'll see what happens.
I
I'm
love it.
excited.
We want to hear from you, live audience. Put some in the comment section. We'll read them out for the rest of the show. What's some of your gay indulgences or indulgences that you do spend, that you will carve out a little bit? You know, I have one of those programs, Rocket Money, Kodi, where
Mhm.
it tells you what you spent in the last month. And it's really helpful, actually. I mean, you pay $10 for that service, but it shows you where your money's going per month. And I've gotten rid of things, subscription based stuff that I just wasn't using anymore. And it's very helpful, I think, if you're trying to budget, so that I then can go to Sunset Boulevard for the third time.
Get
Just
it.
saying. Yeah, I know. It's crazy. All right. Well, we'll move on. We also want to hear from you at home. I just want to quickly tell you about our Patreon page, because I am back posting things, and you can always grab a free account. And right now, I just put up a slew of pictures from my trip on VACAYA, things of me and some of my crazy, wacky costumes, barely their costumes, I might add, and some other fun stuff that I think you'll get a kick out of. There's a behind the scenes from Monday Night Show picture up
Oh,
there where Lincoln,
I
Kodi, and
saw
I
that.
are. Yep, my partner took that picture, which was lovely. And I'm going to continue to put stuff up there, but I'm also putting up some extra special sexy content that you can grab a tier. And when you do, you're supporting Tags Podcast, the show you've come to know and love. And we really appreciate the support. It keeps this show moving along like you want it to. So we invite you all, whether it's a free, remember, start off with a free one, maybe consider a tier down the road, but go to patreon.com/tags podcast. Okay, we've got to move on to. This was so interesting to me, because there is a therapist on TikTok, Therapy Jeff Gunther. He's based in Portland, and he really was asking the question, do you really want to stay with your partner forever? These 10 questions will help you find out, Kodi. And
Mm.
I really like these questions. I did the test, and turns out I still want to be with my partner. Yay.
Aw.
I'll send them to him and see if he wants to be with me. But here's the 10 questions, and then we'll discuss.
Okay.
Number one, do they handle stress in a way that doesn't make your life significantly harder?
No.
And
Test over. No.
I got to tell
Joking.
you,
I'm joking.
though, Diego was here the other day when we were doing the broadcast for episode 645, and we haven't done it here in a while. Remember
Yeah.
that? And it
Mhm.
requires a different setup than, say, the microphone that is in front of my mouth now. We use a whole different setup. It's just based on it just works better in the studio. Well, there's these cables that go to this recording unit that, for the life of me, I at one point I had like 25 of them, because I used to shoot a lot. And I don't know what I did. I don't know if I threw them in the garbage, but I turned up this apartment like there's no tomorrow. Kodi, you can
I was
vow for
there.
that.
I know.
I was losing my mind
You
and was just like,
I
there's
was like,
just
"I'm
not going
gonna
to be
go
any
take a
show, and
nap."
I don't know what I'm going to do. And I'm like, I think I opened up the door. And I'm like, Kodi, I can't talk to you right now. I'm in the middle of like losing my mind.
You were
And
like, "Don't ask if you can help because it's
yeah,
not
right.
gonna
Because
help."
I
I
knew
was
you,
like,
Kodi loves to ask me to help. I'm like, yeah. Well, Diego, my partner, took it upon himself to help and found a cable like in this drawer somewhere. And that led to, oh my God, if there's one, there's more. And I found the other two. And turns out you can listen to episode 645 too. So, in answer to that question, my partner definitely is handles the stress really well. Number two, when you picture your future, does it feel like they fit naturally into it rather than something you have to force? What do you think about that one, Kodi? When you
well,
picture
my
your,
answer is my
yeah,
answer is yes.
oh,
So
good,
I know. I think that's a great question because it's not necessarily all about now. It's about building a life together. So at the end of the
yeah,
day, can this person, the future that you envision for yourself, do they fit in that picture? And the answer is yes for me. So I love that
yeah.
question. I love the first question too. I just don't like my answer too.
Yeah, it forces you to ask yourself the same question too.
Yeah.
So, but sometimes there's yin and yang. Number three, do they handle being wrong well, or at least better than they used to? And this was a good one too, because nobody likes to be wrong. And I've done a lot of growth factor on this particular one throughout the
Mhm.
years. So my partner is getting a evolved Stevie V, if you will, on that particular one. He's really good on that one though too. So how are you on that one?
Oh, the answer is yes, because they added the caveat or better than they used to. So,
Okay, right, yeah. As long
right?
as
And I'm
there's
glad that they
growth.
added that on because, people if they're staying stagnant, then that's one thing. Or even if they start to recognize their patterns and how they react to things. So, yeah, yes is the answer to that one. So, pretty excited.
Number four, do you like the version of yourself that you are when you're with them? I like that question.
Me too. Me too. I think it's
It,
great.
it forces you to ask the question, am I compromising myself? Am I being my authentic self? When he leaves, do I feel weird? Am I like a huge exhale? Or am I missing them? I think. And you need to be your authentic self. And I know we all put on somewhat of a front early on in those early dates because we're trying to put out our best self. But that's all fine and dandy. We all do that. But I think ultimately you've got to be able to be yourself and be comfortable with yourself and know that they have to accept that. How do you feel about that?
I hear you and I totally agree. I also want to put in there it's about that, but it's also about do they bring out the best in you? So
Ah,
I
you're
think that with that, it when you're around them, are they doing things to make you a better person? Are they doing things to ensure that you're feeling wonderful? Do they make you feel wonderful? There's so much that's involved with that question. So
yeah, I
I
guess you're
adore
right.
that
Yeah.
question. Yeah.
Wow. Good
And the
ones.
answer is yes for me again too.
Okay, number 5, we're
I love
halfway
taking this test.
there. Yeah, this is a great one. Really, I mean, I'm gonna post this one on TAGSPodcast.com, but I'm also gonna keep it for myself personally. Just I think it's just really good questions. When they
Yeah.
succeed at something, do you feel genuinely happy for them rather than envious or resentful? And this was an easy one for me. It was just a hard yes. I mean, my partner does a particular job that there are accolades that come with it after each job. And I'm always just so happy to hear how well it went. And I genuinely feel happy and want it to be successful because the nature of his business is based on reviews and hospitality and service. And so I absolutely do. And he happens to do something that I like love anyway. And so I'm
Yeah.
always like asking a million questions about it. And so, yeah. How about you?
Oh yeah, I definitely agree. I think that When you love somebody, you always want the best for them. You want them to
Yeah.
succeed and to be happy, and you hope that they want the same for you. But I will add, so it's not to be envious of it is kind of like a red flag, but
Yeah.
to let their success motivate you to your next success, I think is a wonderful thing. It's all about how you frame things.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think well, jealousy and envy are not good things, and if you have them for your
No,
partner, my god,
yeah,
it's
no,
just
that's
you
not
really
wonderful.
need to focus on your life and yourself then if you're feeling those things.
Like I said, if your partner is succeeding and then that makes you want to be a better person, or that you see them succeeding and that makes you want to do better for yourself, I don't think that's necessarily envy. I think that's like a motivating factor. Does that make
That and
sense?
that can always be great, absolutely.
Yes.
Let's get through these next half of
Okay.
them a little quicker. A little note here. Do they notice and appreciate the little things you do even when they're not grand gestures? And yeah, I mean,
Absolutely.
I absolutely, yeah, and that's key points because it's the day-to-day little things that matter the most, I feel, than these grand gestures that, we all love a huge birthday and all that kind of stuff, but it's those small things I think that count.
It's always about the little moments.
Yeah, that really carry with. Absolutely. Number 7, do they respect your weird little quirks instead of trying to change them? Absolutely on mine, and that goes back to that other thing of you gotta be comfortable being yourself, you gotta be yours. I'm so silly, he is so silly, and yeah, all those little quirks and crazy things that each of us have are really cherishable in my way. I mean, I only share them with like my mom, my sister, and now him, and maybe you
Mhm.
at times. And
Yeah.
but they're just I have like quirky little things, and so does
Yeah.
he. And yeah.
So it makes you you, and if they gotta accept you for you. So the answer is yes.
Number 8, when they tell stories about you to other people, do you like the way they talk about you, Cody?
Oh, definitely. They always are in they hold me in high regard, especially with other
Yeah,
people.
yeah, that's important
May
too. Yeah.
maybe not to me, but to other people for sure.
Okay, yeah, at least on the front surface, yeah. Number 9, if they never changed a single thing about themselves, would you still want them would you still wanna be with them?
No. There's one thing, but it's a very important thing. It's about communication, which is like the groundwork for a relationship. So that one is I got another strike on that one, unfortunately. What about you, Steve?
I mean, I think I was telling you in my meeting, there's, like, one thing that I would like, but it's more of, like, a health concern thing, but
Mhm.
It I mean, it's not, like, affecting me per se, it's just, like, health-wise, but
Yeah.
nothing about, like, the person, so,
Yeah. And if
and
they didn't
it's
change it,
something
you
that
would
they
be
have.
okay.
Yeah, I would be okay because yeah, it's not me personally, so yeah. Number 10, lastly, the final question that you should ask yourself, if you could be with this person forever, finally, can you honestly say that if you met them for the first time today, you'd still want to be with them? Oh, I like that. Of course,
Excuse me.
100%.
I'm a little verklempt over here. Yes is the answer, honey. Where's my ring?
Yeah. All right. Exactly. Great questions to ask
They're
yourself. And
amazing.
yeah.
And you know what? They bring so much to the conversation as far as your relationship is concerned. And you get to delve deep into what you want and who this person actually is and why you love them. So ask your partner these questions.
And Cody, also, you can take this test now, even when you're single, to develop who you want to bring into your life. If you know the answers to these questions ahead of you before, while you're single, you've started out a framework on basically who you want to bring into your world
That's right.
based on these answers. So I would say whether you're in that relationship or you're thinking about is this long term, or if you're single, take this test on what's your answers to some of these questions, and then use this when as a blueprint when you meet somebody as sort of like what you hold near and dear and true on a partner. So, yeah, it's kind of a good,
Nice device.
yeah, I think so. Okay. I liked this next one. If you notice tonight's light and bright, Kodi and I were feeling like it's been really heavy
Yeah.
since the beginning of the new year. And we were like, let's get some fun topics going or just ponder some things. And this next one does not disappoint as well. And it asks the question, how have your romantic desires changed as you've aged and why? Like everything, our romantic desires change as we age. And our early years, we might be more like on the prowl, not even feeling things like desire like that. But it's true, contrary to popular belief, older couples are often happier and more emotionally attached than their younger counterparts. I liked this, Kodi, because it got me thinking about my own romantic desires throughout the years. And I wrote a little something, and I wrote, for me, they've gotten simpler. I used to think a beautifully lit restaurant while sitting in an alcove was so romantic, or I had to be in an exotic location like Krabi in Thailand. Okay, maybe I'm watching too much White Lotus. Sitting in the ocean in a posh 5-star resort. And believe me, that is still romantic. But as I've gotten older, it's the simpler things that are romantic. For example, I'll take an evening home alone with my partner any time of day. The other day, he cooked chicken soup for us. We had wine, French bread, and watched our favorite shows together and lied on the couch together. And it was so romantic. Very romantic both times. We've lit candles, ordered from our favorite spot, and simply enjoyed a great night together with great lighting. Great lighting is always in my mix, though. But yeah, I think for me, it's gotten simpler
Okay.
romance, and I used to think grander. How has it changed for you as you've gotten older? Romance.
Uh, I don't think it has changed. I want somebody to love, and I want somebody to I've always wanted a husband since I was very young. I don't know what's wrong with me.
Okay.
I've been an old lady I've been a golden girl since I was 20.
Aw.
Yeah, so I maybe one thing that I can say is that my frame of reference for what a relationship can consist of, it has changed a little bit because, uh I've been exploring a little bit more, and I think that I'm more accepting of an open relationship than I would have been before. I'm not saying I want one right now, but I'm definitely it's something that has crossed my mind before. I think that I am more accepting of a lot more things. My perspective is broadened, and I am more willing to take people at face value as long as the love is there. So, yeah.
But romance continues a steady stream for you, like you,
Girl,
yeah.
I want the husband. You know what? I always wanted kids too. Maybe that has changed as well because I don't necessarily need the kids anymore. But I would like kids, but it's not
Okay,
something that
yeah.
is something that's mandatory right now.
Got it. I like that. Yeah, I mean, romantical, as Wendy Williams used to say on her show.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, it can change as you get older and things become. Sex is, of course, still important, but as you find, sex isn't always easy to schedule and do all the time, and things like just romance and spending quality time together or checking in with your partner can be really nourishing for your soul as a couple and for
Yeah.
your individual souls as well. At least that is for me. And I still put sex up there as well, but romance and just looking out for each other, I think, are super important. And that
Yeah.
becomes high on the list. Let us know what you think, everybody. It's time to give a little bit of advice, I feel. And this one comes from Reddit, and it was a dark room story. And it's interesting because I was just on the Caribbean VACAYA Cruise, Kodi,
Mhm.
and they had the RLD, the red light district. And I never went there once.
Bitch, what?
I don't know. Yeah, I just never went. I wasn't feeling it this time, but that's okay. Yeah,
Wow.
I wasn't feeling it,
Okay.
but
Okay.
but I'm ready to give some advice. They
Do
write, was wondering if a monogamous gay couple could have fun hooking up with each other in a dark room at a gay club. Neither of us are unprepped, so it would literally just be us messing around with each other and having fun in the club public setting. Is this possible to do without having other men trying to join us? I have never been, so I don't really know the culture too well. Would it be considered rude? Any advice, please? Going to Chicago, by the way. I don't think it's rude at all. I think if you want to play with your partner in a dark room and put on a show for others, that show is going to be probably pretty hot and heavy
fucking
because you
hot.
guys know each other. And if you guys get off on that, it's going to be good. Now, I will say that expect some hands to be coming in if you've never experienced a dark room. Oftentimes, three, four people are grab. If you're as hot as you guys say you are, or seem to think you are,
Girl, hey.
you are going to be luring in them like bees to honey. And with
Like a
that
moth to a
comes
flame, burnt by the
like a moth
fire.
to a flame, Janet Jackson. And those hands will be coming in, and you might have to be taking some of those in and pushing them away. But hopefully they'll get the message and see that you
Yeah.
guys just want to put on a show and that you guys are just into each other. What do you say to this? Are they a little naive to think that they could just go in there and have some fun like this?
No, people are generally speaking, people can be very respectful in the dark room or even a bathhouse. I agree with you wholeheartedly that this is a very hot experience. You know why? Because I've had this experience. When I was a little bit younger, I had a boyfriend and we went to Steamworks in, I think it was
Oh,
Toronto or Montreal together. We went to not a private room, but it was like a little enclosement, not really enclosed, but like there was nobody that could get behind us. So we went there and we got it in. People were trying to grab us, and that's totally fine. And we just moved their hands away while we were doing our thing. And it was one of the hottest experiences that I've ever had. I want to recreate that with another partner because it was fucking hot. I would do it 8 million more times because despite the people coming in and trying to grab us, just having people watching is such a turn on for me. Having them be able to see the carnal, primal lust and love that was going on between me and my ex, it was so intoxicating. So, yeah.
yeah, you bring up such great points. And I think for a couple that is totally into this, like this couple is, or like you were and your partner at the time, I think it's really healthy and can be such a great addition to their sex lives because if you get off on that public sex, putting on a show, how amazing is that to take it out of the bedroom once in a while and go to your local Steamworks or what have you and perform like this? It just is another layer to add to your repertoire as a couple that you can now function in here and there. And I just think it's only going to nourish the relationship. And
Oh, yeah.
imagine the stories that you're going to have after that, that only you two can really kind of share with each other afterwards. And it's like you don't have to do it all the time, but when you're both feeling that mode,
Or if you're
act
traveling,
oh yeah. Oh, how fun would that be to visit some of those? And especially in Europe, there's so many great spots in Europe to do this kind of thing in back rooms. I mean, they think of back rooms as just like if you're building a gay bar, add a back room. I mean, it's just like, come on. I
that's
mean,
the foundation right there, the back room.
foundation. It's just like they won't even give you the permits, Kodi. I mean, it's
Yeah,
just like part
exactly,
of the.
honey.
I mean, come on. I love it. Oh my gosh, so much fun as always. I'm so glad to be back. Kodi, this is so great to be back with you. You can always follow Kodi on the gram at Mr. Maurice, or on Blue Sky at the same handle at Mr. Maurice. Follow me on the gram. I am underscore Steve V. Or go to my X or Blue Sky account at TAGSPodcast, where I am putting new content up. You get a preview of it for my Just for Fans or Only Fans, and check that out at Tags Podcast. Don't forget about our Patreon, patreon.com/Tags Podcast. And we are back with all new shows next week. Check us out. And in the meantime, Kodi, continue having
hot
gay
gay
sex.
sex.
Love